Today I'm going to be reviewing the book I'm Starting to Worry About the Big Black Box of Doom by Jason Pargin. This book is a lot more recent than the last books that I have reviewed. It was written in 2024. This book basically follows the protagonist, Abbott. Abbott is kind of a social recluse. He lives on the internet. He hardly ever leaves his room, to the point where he orders food to be brought to his room. His dad kind of resents him a little bit for this because he works really hard at a manual labor job, and this is a source of conflict between them. He kind of sees Abbott as a coward and unproductive, and doesn't really feel like he's living up to his expectations. So Abbott works for a ride-sharing company, and one day he gets a job with a girl named Ether, and she loads a big black box into his car, and at first he is kind of confused and apprehensive, but he decides to take on the job. So she tells him, okay, well, I will pay you way more than you would make in a day with rideshare if you could take me across the country. I need to transport this black box, and I'll make it worth your while. And he, of course, being the timid person he is, resists this at first, but eventually he gives in, thinking of maybe the possibilities with the money that he could be earning from this job. But she does have rules. She doesn't allow him to have a cell phone or interact with social media at all. That's completely not allowed. The other rule is that he's not allowed to look in the black box. So as they go on this road trip, the interesting thing that ends up happening is that the car that she took the black box from is radioactive. Why is it radioactive? We won't know till the end. But people on the internet who saw people in hazmat suits come and inspect the car have a lot of ideas about what's going on. So basically, during the road trip, Abbott and Ether have no idea that there's all this conversation going on about the black box, about them, and as the internet sleuths kind of dig deeper into their personal lives, they find a lot of secrets that Abbott and Ether both have tried to keep secret from each other and from the world. They start coming up with conspiracy theories, kind of trying to guess what's in the box and what the purpose is. People try to stop them, people try to intervene, and the whole time Abbott and Ether are oblivious until towards the end. So the thing this book does well is it really brings attention to how the truth could get muddled on the internet, and also how people are divided by the internet. So Ether and Abbott have very different perspectives on life, very different political views. Abbott is more of kind of an incel type. Ether is a feminist, but they discover that they have a lot more in common when in person than on the internet. So on the internet, people tend to have very polarized views of things because they're talking about things in a more abstract way. They're not talking about concrete things. They're not talking about experiences that they're directly experiencing a lot of the time. It's mostly speculation. So when Ether and Abbott are kind of forced to spend a lot of time together, they realize that they do agree on a lot of things, because things aren't as black and white as the internet makes them look. And that's the thing I love so much about this book, is it's an important message, is that these days everybody feels so separate and, as I said, polarized, that it's easy to feel like there's nobody that you have something in common with, or everybody is against you, or you're with the majority. Either way, it's not as divided as that when you get down to an individual level. The ending of the book has some interesting little twists and everything, but this book is great for showing how quickly the truth could unravel on the internet and how people on completely opposite sides could actually see eye to eye when it comes down to being in person. And it also shows the difference between what an online persona shows about a person and what real life shows about a person. Getting to know someone in real life is completely different than the image that someone puts of themselves on the internet. So at the time of this video, the book is rated 3.9 out of 5 stars on Goodreads. I completely disagree with that. I would rate it a 5 out of 5. It was my favorite book that I read last year in 2025. Highly recommend. Let me know if you give this a read and what you think about it, what you took from it. I'm always looking to start conversations and discussions about interesting topics like the ones that were discussed in this book. Thank you.